Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we have ourselves a remix of a track from Shaboozey titled A Bar Song. And if we switch over to here, A Bar Song, the remix from GQRemix, and we're going to listen through it on YouTube from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do this. I like the activity of the bass line immediately. Interesting panning of that lead on the side. Okay, I kind of dig the way that we're adding that banjo in there. That I've been boosted since I left. I ain't changing for a chance. Tell my mind I ain't forget. Woke up drunk at 10 a.m. We gon' do this shit again. Tell your girl to bring a friend. Oh Lord, one. Here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Tell them bring another round. We need 30 more. 2 stepping on the table. She don't need a dance floor. Oh my. Very cool response. Like, it's kind of weird talking about the original track when we've got the remix here. There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar gets it. Everybody at the bar gets it. Everybody at the bar gets it. Here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. When this lane's calling, it keeps out the door. It's getting kinda late, but the ladies want some more. Oh my, good Lord. Tell them drink some. Someone put me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar get tipsy. Someone put me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. At the bottom of a bottle, don't mess me. Everybody at the bar get tipsy. Everybody at the bar get tipsy. Everybody at the bar get tipsy. Interesting use of shakers at the end. We're going to talk about this track though more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this remix of this track from Shaboozey titled A Bar Song. The song remixed by GQRemix. Now, first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think this is about someone who is just kind of maybe struggling through their life and they're at the club or at the bar with the people getting tipsy and they're kind of just sort of celebrating the life they either want to live or the struggles that they're getting through and just trying to make it day by day, you know. When we talk about the 9 to 5 ain't working, it indicates that we are going through a difficult time simply trying to make ends meet. And so this is kind of our reprieve, our way of kind of, I suppose, releasing on that. And it's like kinsmanship throughout the track with the backing vocals as well as the mains from Shaboozey that I think does work quite well here. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. It's a very popular song, the original. And so I think what this remix does well is that it includes the original vocals within it. I think that if you tried to chop and change them a little bit too much, it might have sort of sounded like it was being a little bit alienated. You could have potentially have added some sort of like effects to have more exaggerated the effects of the drunkenness that the person was going through. But then at the same time, I feel like having the words come through clearly is good. And again, it pays tribute to the original in a way that makes sense. The way that it's structured, you have individuality to the way that it's sort of like put together. It does sound separate from the track for other various reasons that we'll discuss. But yeah, no. So far, I think having the vocals as the way they are in the original for the most part is really good. I also appreciate they were trying to put a lot of different elements in there that just weren't in the original. Like we didn't have those kind of synth leads on the sides. We didn't have that kind of slower acoustic kit there going halftime as opposed to doing da 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 da. It was kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, like on those quarters a lot of the time. Going halftime kind of makes it sort of seem like you're going through space with this thing. You're not in a rush to get there. It's almost like we're having a breakdown of sorts about why we're in the bar getting tipsy. And I think that's an interesting direction to take it. It's a bit more low key and a bit more kind of like foundational. It's less like we're trying to celebrate the how do I say? It's not trying to be as fun, but it sounds intriguing nonetheless. There's an interesting coloration from those synths as well. I think that having the bass parts in the lower end kind of gliding around, the movement with the bass guitar is fantastic. It's really intriguing to me because I'm not used to it. After kind of vaguely referencing the original, I don't remember the bass line being as active with it. And to also have parts of like the kind of plucked the banjo, the arpeggiated parts from the original, if I'm not mistaken, they might be additional. But either way, to have those instrumental parts of the individual come in a similar way, or at least to amalgamate niche with, again, the synths and the bass and the other parts for like the keys on the right side as well is really cool. Just in terms of the production overall, I appreciate what we're trying to do in regards to making this track sound bigger. I think that having the synths on the side of the stereo field was positive because it fleshed the track out and gave it a sense of dynamics and sort of like scope that I don't know if the original had due to simply trying to be a bit more minimalist and kind of catchy. I think what this track could have benefited from is more deliberate adjustments with the perceived intensity in regards to the loudness and the energy of different instruments. I realize that it's very kind of cliched, but you could have potentially had like a kind of a build with like faster kicks and snares and stuff like that, or maybe like a fill on the acoustic kit to go into the drop section and really kind of make that bass line pop in and kind of smack itself out. It's just, there are things you could have done where maybe for people who are more sort of familiar with electronic remixes, or maybe we wanted to have simply like almost an anti-hook in those chorus sections where it was a bit more low key. I think having more of a kind of like the cymbal oriented kind of shakers and stuff like that was cool. It was almost like it was unexpected and therefore it was unique, and I appreciate that. But then also to have parts after that where there are no cymbals and it's simply the drums and the bass, drums and the kick, snare and kick, etc. It's almost poignant, almost like we're considering why we're drinking in the first place. And so I think it's just simply, maybe if I give any feedback on the structure and production of it, it's basically that I think while things are leveled quite well there, I think we could have maybe exaggerated the peaks and troughs a bit more, that made things kind of a lot quieter, filtered the vocals maybe to insinuate like a build, or like kind of had things more fleshed out in the heavier sections. But then of course the underhooks are fine. Yeah, honestly, because I feel like a lot of the fundamentals are here too. It gets to a point with feedback where it becomes subjective about what I want as opposed to what's required for the track. But I think it's definitely a unique, interesting direction from like an actual production and instrumental perspective, where when you have the vocals be the thing that kind of anchors and sort of cements it, I think that it's a great balance of what exists versus what is new. I think an additional bit of sort of constructive critique is I'm not sure what I hear there that would help me to understand that it was GQRemix doing this. So I think that there either needs to be a producer tag to kind of let people know it's you, or I feel like there needs to be something else within it that is distinct and original enough that when someone hears it, they're like, yeah, that's that thing. It needs to be, that's a tricky thing to kind of design and integrate. But I feel like, especially if we're going to do more remixes, which I think we are capable of, and I appreciate the work put into it, that's just what we might need to do. So I think if we can find some way to sort of diversify, especially from like a marketing perspective, it is literally just trying to find a sense of unique identity that comes from not only like an actual image-based level of social medias and video content maybe, but also simply the song itself needs to be identifiable. But I think if we can continue to keep a lot of the vocals kind of relatively consistent within the track whilst making your own versions of these songs in different genres, maybe like completely remix it, because this is a very different style than the original, I feel like that's going to be a powerful, good way to push forward. And so ultimately, I hope that was helpful. It's just that a lot of the fundamentals were adhered to, and I don't have any real complaints about this. I think once I got into it in the later stages, I understood how a lot of those things were kind of complementing each other. And there might have been like the occasional point where like something came in a bit later than I was expecting, but that's also simply a subjective experience. Ultimately, you could kind of pick your way through and feel it out, and it was totally reasonable and rational. And so thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an act named, there's a remix of a track from Shaboozey titled A Bar Song from GQRemix, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and their YouTube page. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time as they need the help. More than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.